Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from AlexMercedCoder.dev. Again, make sure to follow me on Twitter at AlexMercedCoder or on TikTok at AlexMercedCoder or on Instagram at AlexMercedCoder and subscribe to the Web Dev 101 podcast. But today what I'd like to talk to you, and before we talk about that, if you want to hit that subscribe button or hit a like on the video, what I want to do is just do a quick tour of SolidStart. So SolidStart is going to be like the meta framework for SolidJS in the same way that Next is the meta framework for React, and Nux is the meta framework for Vue. Analog is the meta framework for Angular, and SvelteKit is the meta framework for Svelte. SolidStart is going to be that for now. Again, right now it is released in beta, so again, I want to keep that in mind in beta. So not everything, meaning there be dragons, which is cool. I've been playing with it. I like it a lot. I do very much think that this is sort of like the future. Like it's one of the probably the best sort of conglomeration of features I've seen in any one of these meta frameworks. Of course, a lot of it is inspired by what other meta frameworks have done and other libraries have done, but it packages it all in a really nice package. Again, there is definitely more work that needs to be done. I mean, the docs that are there are pretty good, but there's definitely a lot of things that are not necessarily covered yet, or nuances that aren't there. And again, things in practice. So again, there be dragons. But overall, I'm really liking this. So let's actually just kind of go through the process of just starting up a project. So I'm going to open up a new folder here. Okay, and essentially the first step I'm going to do is actually I'll put these side by side. Just make it a little bit easier instead of me just switching windows all the time. Okay, I'm going to just do an npm init solid, or you can do pnpm create solid. I'll do that. I've installed pnpm now, so I'm now new to this whole pnpm trend. I like it. If you're not familiar with what pnpm is, it's like a alternative to using npm, where instead of installing literally every package every time you create a new project, you can still track them in the package.json, but they're only really being installed once in some like one master directory. So kind of similar to like how it works in like Ruby. Okay, so let me just do pnpm create solid. Okay, and this will create a new project. So now it's asking me which one I want to start with. I am going to choose bear, so I'm just saying, hey, basically a bear template. Do I want server-side rendering? Next, you'll be asked whether to use server-side rendering. In TypeScript, choose your desired option. I'm going to say yes for the server-side rendering, and I'm going to say no to the TypeScript for now. The directory is not empty, and that's just because of this VS Code folder with my special VS Code settings. That's fine. Just put the stuff in there. That's nice. It doesn't force me to have to delete the folder. And see, like, there's all my stuff. Okay, cool. Next thing I have to do is I have to do pnpm install. That's going to install all the libraries, which I should generally have all of them right now. Okay. Oh, actually, I don't think. There we go. Let me try that again. pnpm install. There we go. Now it's installing everything. Okay, cool. That's all installed. And then to run the server, we just do npm run dev. Okay, and that's going to run the server, and it's up and running. Localhost 3000. Okay, nice. And if I click on that, that all works. Okay. So let's just show you some of the cool features. Like basically you do have like file-based routing. That's all going to be in this routes folder. So again, if I were to create like a new folder called cheese, I could then make routes in there. Now, one really cool thing about this is that I could define, I don't have to have like a separate API folder or do anything particularly different to do API routes. So let's just do a couple API routes right now. So JSX. So this index.jsx will be the route for like cheese. Okay. And then basically what I can do is to define API routes in here, I could do something like this, like get. So actually I would do export async function get, and it would be like post put, depending what kind of method you want it to be. And then if I want to like, well, actually I'll just leave it at that. And then I can like return hello world. Okay. and it'll complain about the await. That's just my linter. But now if I go over here, I open up like Insomnia, and let's say I just go to /cheese, and I'll do a get request. Whoever has header is not iterable. Let's see what happened there. I think it's because it wants me to send back JSON. So what I have to do is I have to import JSON from SolidStart like that. And then what I can do is I can be like JSON and then return an object. So I'll just say message hello world. Okay. Now if I do that, let's try that again. And so yeah, that works. Okay, and basically I can define my routes there. So like if let's say I did the same thing with like a post route. Okay, and then what I want to do is like receive the request body. What I would do is I can destructure the request from the one argument. Okay, and then I gotta actually like construct the body, which is this kind of like is a little tricky. But I would just say like const body equals new response, and the new response is taken from this stream, not this, which is inside request.body, because essentially the request.body is going to be a readable stream. And then over here I have to define headers, and I want to make sure I define that, hey, like the header, which is going to be content type, is application JSON. Okay, and then again I'm going to await this, and then I do here .json, and then that should get me the body, and then what I'll do is I'll return the body as JSON. Okay, so let's try like making that. So again, this is here I'm parsing the body, and then here I'm just going to return the body as response to the request. So I will make a post request to cheese, and I'm just going to send this message hello here, and I will hit send, and there it goes, sends me the body back. Okay, so simple as that. And then you can do params. So like if I were to do like in here a new file called var.js. Okay, and in here let's like do another like post request. So I will just copy that from over here. Okay, except now I also want params out of this object. Okay, so now what I'll do is make this an object, and then we'll have another thing called, and then we'll put params in here too, so you can see body and params. But yeah, so now if I go to here and I say /cheese/gouda, oh, I did something wrong. Let me think about that. Params, body, cheese@gouda. Yeah, I mean I should get it. Well, I'll just do this. I'll just make a property called param, which equals params.var, because that's what we call the param, because again I put square brackets around the var there. And let's try that again. Cheese gouda send. That's one other thing that's kind of not great right now. It doesn't give you many errors. So like it's telling me that there's an error, but I'm not seeing any kind of indication of error in any terminal. Which again, there be dragons. Let's see if I just do this. Post. Let's just get rid of the body logic. It's just destructure params. And what I'm going to do here is I will just say message hello world, so we can debug this. And I'm going to just go over here and just console log params. Okay, so let's try that again. Still doesn't like it. That's interesting. But params is what it is. Just for some reason doesn't seems to still be throwing an error. I think it's just probably the server's just stuck. So let's see here. Let me restart the server. And let me try this again. Still an error. Let's post to /g/Gouda. Still not quite sure what it doesn't like. Return JSON, message hello world. And it seems like a perfectly fine response. The console log is just fine. But I'm not going to sit here and play with that too long right now. Okay, but basically that's how you can do API routes. And it's actually pretty straightforward. But the really cool thing is that it's not just API routes. Like it's not like just your standard like post get API routes. You can do GraphQL. Like if you take a look over here at the documentation, let's get to that. You can actually define a GraphQL API straight from like you just create this file like GraphQL or GraphQL.js and just pass in like a GraphQL schema. Pass in the schema, pass in your resolvers, and ta-da, you have a GraphQL API built right in. Or you can create a RPC API, and that's really cool. And the thing is that like this is just one way to kind of go define your like RPC API, but there are like hooks that generally end up defining things that are very similar. Like they end up creating RPC calls. Like for example, create like server action. Okay, so essentially what you're doing here is you're essentially creating a function where all the code runs on the server, essentially. So you end up running this function, the code will run on the server when it gets invoked. So it's essentially an RPC call, but it just becomes really easy to enact. So it really gives you the ability to kind of like use like the best tool for the job, whether it's like REST, whether it's GraphQL, whether it's RPC. You really have the use of all of it, which I really like. And you have like kind of like Remix, you have the ability to like use actions. So let's go to that section. So essentially what happens here, you can like use this create route action hook or primitive. And what it does, it actually creates like a form component for you. So when you have this form, when you submit it, it's going to automatically submit to that form, which is going to run the function you passed when you created this route action. Yeah. Now when that runs on the server, when it doesn't, that's still something I'm trying to like work my way through. That's some of the troubles I've been having in a test project that I'm doing, but it's pretty neat. And there's actually like this, it all works pretty okay. So there's a lot going on here. And then like far as like data loading goes, like if you remember like if you ever use like Next, like there's a function called um, get static props or get server props. Essentially what you would do here is you define this function called route data. And then you could use this function called create route data, which creates like sort of like a resource that the component's kind of aware of. So if you do any actions, it'll just automatically make that API call again and update the data, which is pretty cool. You don't have to do it that way, but you can. So the point is like it enables a lot of like the types of features. And again, when you do that though, you can also have like different route datas that have different keys, similar to like React Query, where you pass like a string that kind of identifies that particular API call, and it can identify like, hey, do I really need to make this API call again? And you get really sort of like efficient caching of different things. So that's all really. There's a lot of stuff going on, but I would say like, this is pretty exciting. I'm really excited to see like this like continue to sort of like stabilize its build, and then I will keep trying to do my little side project and try to figure out how to get it working. But it's pretty cool. Again, I would be very much looking forward to the day where a lot more apps are using this, and for the day, which probably won't be too far, where like Next, Nux, and SvelteKit adopt some of the really cool features, particularly like the whole like GraphQL RPC thing into their frameworks. Like that is just like super cool. I will see you all later. Have a great day and enjoy.